Hello and welcome to our first podcast for Secure Space Australia. It's a small company all about security, firewalls, server setups, Internet of Things, company networks, company firewalls, basically everything we can do for you in a way of blocking the devices in your network and preventing your network from being hacked. But for that, hopefully later. The reason for our podcast, and actually it's a great first podcast, is the outage that we got from Optus today, which is quite interesting. So what I'll try to do is, based on my experience in security in the military, over 3 years, and over 20 years in the server setup, firewalls, basically interactions with other companies, IT companies and telco providers like Optus. During those 20 years, we learn a lot of things, how they operate, what happens, and I'm going to use some of that knowledge to try to deduct what exactly happens. Now, here's the thing. Optus will actually never tell you exactly what happened. A couple of reasons for that. First, if it was a hack or if it was done deliberately, that will acknowledge that the attack was successful, so they will never do that. Second, if it was their fault, they will most likely will not explain what happened for a simple reason that a lot of people will businesses were hurt. All businesses were hurt, and there will be a lot of people that will try to get some compensation from it. But again, it's only deduction. I'm not saying that this is exactly what happens, but we'll try to deduct from the events that the way that it happens was what most likely did happen. So let's go through when it all started. Actually, I was in my office in Western Australia, in my data center, working with our team on set up a new server. And what we noticed around was 1 o'clock Western Australia time, or 5 minutes past 4 in the morning, Sydney time, or 405 time. Suddenly the connection between the mobile devices and the cell towers start dropping. What I mean by dropping, the signal to noise ratio was okay. The signal strength was okay. All the bandwidth and the power of the receiver and transmitter was actually operating fine. But what did happen? The devices will start not be able to identify themselves to the Optus network. So let's start with the timing. The timing is quite interesting. 4 o'clock in the morning. Everybody has done servers before. This is the default time when the server does updates. This is the default time when most IT guys will try to push firmware updates or network updates or database updates or backups and things like that. Being a default time, it's a good and a bad thing. If it's a quick process, 4 o'clock in the morning, the chances you're having businesses using your network is very slim. There are only a few businesses using that network, so they will not be affected for a few minutes if you need to stop for a few minutes and do the update. The downside of using that default is that you only have a few hours between 4 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the morning where a lot of businesses will start operating. And 8 o'clock in the morning that pretty much every business in the country will start operating. So having only a few hours to fix something you stuffed up is not a good idea. Never has been a good idea. So we always set up our servers, and I'm not telling you exactly what time, but they do start those updates and they push those settings and backups much earlier. For example, again, it's not the time I will set up my service exactly to, but let's say if it, instead of 4 o'clock in the morning, if it was 5 minutes past 1 in the morning, then Optus will had about 5 hours before majority of the business start operating to fix the issue. But they didn't thought of that. Okay. I was watching the CEO coming today on the 9 News and saying, "Oh, our team is really working really hard. Our team is working really hard to fix the issue." Well, hold on. You're the one causing the issue. So what you should be saying is, "Sorry, everybody, we stuffed up. Our team is working really hard to fix what we did wrong." And come back and say, "Here's what we did, and we're happy to compensate the businesses for their losses." A lot of small businesses got hit by FPOS machines not operating, by the Wi-Fi, 5G, internet not operating, not be able to process payments, not be able to speak to customers, not be able to take orders over the phone. One of those businesses were our business as well. Some of our phones were down for half the day. Customers were not able to communicate. We probably lost 2 or 3 contracts. It's maybe worth about $10,000. But anyway, what I think it happened, usually around, in my experience, with the other telcos companies we work with back in New Zealand, the identification database is updated a few times a day. In some telcos, they update like every half an hour. Other telcos updating like every 4 hours. That's why when you try to activate a new SIM card, they tell you, "Oh, it will be most likely up and running in 4 hours." And the reason is, even you populate the identification number, which is a serial number, MA number from the SIM card and your device, even if you populate that in the telco's database, it takes up to 4 hours for this to get synced through a different hardware and software that is using that database. But what happens once a day, once every 24 hours, this database is being updated through the whole organization. And looks like that's what happens at 4 o'clock in the morning. Looks like all the customers have lost their the link between their SIM card serial number, the IMEI of their phone, and the services that were they subscribed to. If this is what happened, the symptoms of that one and the results of that one will be you're going to have all the bars, but no 5G, 4G, 3G, any service will be denied to you, because the network will see you, the network will communicate with you, the network will have good signal to noise ratio with your device as usual, but because you'll not be able to identify your device, you're not going to have any service. So I think that's most likely that's what happened. Again, I mean, Optus is please feel free to come and correct that. I'm not going to say anybody have done any wrong, any particular person in Optus or any individual in Optus have done anything wrong. But as organization, those things start happening in Optus. They've been happening once a year now. Like a year ago, the database was leaked, including my data was leaked, like driver license numbers and identification documents. And now we do have the greatest outage in Australian telco history. Um, and things like that will happen. They'll happen more often because I think all the companies are in a cost-cutting mode. They do not employ the best specialists they can, and that's understandable. Everybody's trying to get lower prices and make more money out of it. But what I think it will happen, it will lead to those things happening more often and more often and more often, unfortunately. Well, let me know what you think with all the comments under. Hopefully that helped you understand what happened, or most likely happened. Again, we only can do deductions. We're not saying that any particular person or organization is basically done it, is responsible for it. But we're trying to analyze based on the events, based on what I saw between the communication I saw, the low level of logging and events happening between my mobile phone and the couple of other devices in office and the Optus tower. This is what we saw that most likely is the cause of that event. Well, have a great day. Let us know what you think about in the comments. Have your business been affected by that outage? What are your losses? For my business, the losses are probably $10,000 plus. I think other businesses there are hit really harder, and I think Optus should come out and say, hey, here's the form. If your business was hit by this outage, it was our fault. So we're happy to compensate you, or at least give us a 3 month or couple of 3 months of billing or things like that. Please use the comments. Please subscribe. There will be more interesting content happening probably once or twice a month. And have a great day.